Part 11. If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Ken Ru Xiahua. Chapter 101. Li Yuan casually spoke, holding Xia's Haijin's hand. Let those sons of bitches wait, they are not as important as my baby's Haijin. The south gate of Daxia University is crowded with people, and it is a short holiday and weekend after the military training. There are all kinds of students around, and occasionally someone casts a concerned look. Xia's Haijin was led by Li Yuan, her pretty face flushed and lowered her head. She struggled, but was firmly held by Li Yuan. Let's go, I'll take you back to the dormitory first. Yes. When he was about to go to the school, a weak voice suddenly came over. Li Yuan. Hearing someone calling him, Li Yuan hurriedly followed the voice and found the owner of the voice under a sycamore tree. When Li Yuan saw this familiar figure, he immediately smiled and walked over with Xia's Haijin. Greeted with a smile, Daji, why are you here alone? Where is Wang Shui? Su Ji was a little confused at this time. What did he see? He saw Li Yuan getting out of a car. That was fine. Just buying a car. They had already obtained driver's licenses after the college entrance examination. With Li Yuan's financial resources, he would only be slightly surprised if he bought a sports car, let alone a car. The next scene shocked his eyes. He actually saw that Li Yuan really walked into the campus hand in hand with a very beautiful girl. This was equivalent to an official announcement. Thinking of the secret instructions from his little hot pepper when he came to find Li Yuan, Su Ji felt confused. Originally, he thought that Li Yuan and Bai Wuxi would be able to reconcile and eventually get together. Who would have known that, in the blink of an eye, just after entering college, Li Yuan found a girlfriend who was no less beautiful than Bai Wuxi, or even prettier. And being able to hold hands openly in school showed that the relationship between the two had reached a certain level. The relationship between him and Wang Yuchen had not reached this level. At this moment, Su Ji was really jealous. Comparing people was really annoying. Countless thoughts flashed through Su Ji's mind in an instant, and an embarrassed look flashed across his face. He greeted Li Yuan. Brother Yuan, I was wondering why you came so late. It turns out that you have an important mission. Su Ji looked at Xia's Haijin, who looked shy and uneasy, and smiled at Li Yuan, as if to say, hurry up and introduce him to your brother. Li Yuan understood the doubts and meaning in Su Ji's eyes, and directly took Xia's Haijin's hand and introduced him very calmly. Daji, she is my girlfriend, Xia's Haijin, my classmate. After introducing Xia's Haijin, Li Yuan looked at Xia's Haijin again and said with a smile, Haijin, this is my best friend in high school and also my good brother. His full name is Su Ji, the Su Ji with the word mo missing. You can just call him Daji. Xia's Haijin nodded shyly, hello. Su Ji hurriedly greeted, hello, sister-in-law. The phrase hello, sister-in-law made Xia's Haijin, who was already shy, even more shy. She was sweating quietly while holding Li Yuan's hand, and was obviously very nervous. She secretly glanced at Li Yuan, who was smiling and calm. She felt a very sweet feeling in her heart. This feeling was hard to describe, but it made her heart suddenly calm down a little. Li Yuan asked curiously, where is Xiao Hui? Didn't you say that you two came together? Su Ji glanced at Li Yuan, and then secretly glanced at the beautiful and somewhat foul Xia's Haijin, not knowing how to answer. Do I have to tell you that there are more than just the three of us today? There is also your old lover? They are coming soon. If you don't leave, sure a field will break out. What kind of picture will it be when the new love meets the old love? Just thinking about it makes me feel dizzy. After moistening his throat, Su Ji explained stutteringly, Xiao Hui has a stomachache and went to the toilet. Li Yuan did not doubt it. He pulled Xia's Haijin and smiled and said, then you wait here for a while. I will send Haijin back to the dormitory first. Suji's eyes were a little strange, and he felt hesitant. What could he say? Sending his girlfriend back to the dormitory is not natural. Well, you send my sister-in-law first. I'll wait for Xiao's Huai here. Li Yuan did not doubt it. He directly pulled Xiao's Haijin and walked towards the campus. Suji looked at the back of Li Yuan holding Xiao's Haijin's hand and leaving, and hurriedly took a photo of Li Yuan and Xiao's Haijin with his mobile phone. The gossip fire in his heart was burning. Today, he had eaten a big melon. Suddenly, he thought of something and cried out inwardly. Not long ago, Wang Yuchen, who came with him, had already entered Daxia University to find her best friend Bai Wuxi. If they suddenly came out, Li Yuan would meet Bai Wuxi with his girlfriend, which would be interesting and the scene would be very tragic. It's over. If they meet, Li Yuan and Bai Wuxi will be completely out of luck. Damn, it doesn't matter if they don't have a chance, but don't involve me. Yuchen has quarreled with me several times because of Li Yuan before. I hope Li Yuan will have some luck. Suji muttered to himself. When he thought of the scene of the two meeting, he shuddered and felt shivering. It was a hot summer, but there was a chill all over his body. This really can't be blamed on him, otherwise he would not agree to Wang Yuchen's request no matter what. Li Yuan now has a new girlfriend. Thinking about the activities to be carried out next, he suddenly felt very embarrassed. He took out his cell phone and wanted to send a text message to Wang Yuchen to ask her to remind Bai Wuxi tactfully. After thinking about it, he felt it was inappropriate. Suji muttered, labor and management can't control it. Even if their 3-year relationship really breaks down and they can't get together, it's still their fate. At this time, Wang Shui came over with a few bottles of drinks and asked, "Where's Brother Yuan, why haven't you come yet? He can crush you better than girls." Suji replied, "Brother Yuan sent his new girlfriend back to the dormitory." Wang Shui spit out his drink, his eyes widened, and he asked in disbelief, "You're not talking about Bai Wuxi, are you?" Suji glanced at him and said speechlessly, "Aren't you talking nonsense? If it were Bai Wuxi, what would I say?" Wang Shui's brain shut down on the spot, and he quickly asked, "No, what's going on with Brother Yuan? He's only been in college for a few days, and he's found a new girlfriend. Also, what about classmate Bai Wuxi? What should I do? It's cold." "You ask me, who should I ask?" Suji was also very speechless. Li Yuan's relationship was too childish, although his new girlfriend was no less attractive than Bai Wuxi. He has a very good impression of Bai Wuxi. After all, he has been a high school classmate for 3 years. Bai Wuxi also has a face that looks like the first love of Bai Yueguang. He has a good personality and is polite. His grades are among the top in the school. If Li Yuan hadn't gotten there first, the number of boys chasing her could be counted on both hands. Wang Shui still couldn't believe it. Brother Yuan and Bai Wuxi really ended like this? Why do I feel like I'm dreaming? Brother Yuan took the risk of slipping in the college entrance examination for her. When I got admitted to Xiamen University, I thought our lovers would finally get married. Now you tell me that they broke up completely just after entering college? Brother Yuan found a new love. Isn't this just for fun? Even TV dramas wouldn't dare to act like this. Suji sighed, who knows what happened between Brother Yuan and Bai Wuxi. I thought they were just having a disagreement about the class group thing last time. Forget it, we can't care about it anyway. Brother Yuan must have his own plans. Maybe the two of them are really destined to be different. Wang Shui also sighed, I just feel a little sorry for Brother Yuan. Even if we want to break up, we should wait until the relationship is confirmed and talk for 2 or 3 years before breaking up. Suji's eyes widened. Xiao Shui, what do you mean? Wang Shui showed a wicked smile on his lips. Haha, we are all men, do you need me to say it clearly? Suji understood instantly and opened his mouth, but stopped talking. Thinking about it this way, Li Yuan was really a pity. After chasing Baiwexi for 3 years, he gave up just when he was about to get there. What the hell was this? Even if you want to break up, you have to wait until you get it, otherwise these 3 years will not mean that you have paid for it in vain. It is a pure fool's behavior. But thinking of Xiao's Haijin's figure and face, Su Ji felt that it was understandable, and said with a smile, "But, Xiao's why, you haven't seen that brother Yuan's new girlfriend is also very beautiful, no better than Baiwexi difference." Wang Shui was a little suspicious and didn't really believe it. Baiwexi was recognized as the school beauty of number 1 middle school and the dream lover of many boys. In such a strict and tense environment in high school, many boys from other classes chased her. If this enters a university campus, are they still not allowed to kill indiscriminately? Can Li Yuan really catch up with a girl who is comparable to Baiwexi so quickly? Why doesn't he believe it? Li Yuan held Xiao's Haijin's hand and sent her back to the dormitory without incident. "Haijin, it's hot outside. Don't run around if you have nothing to do. You can read in the dormitory. I'll call you when I come back in the evening." Xiao's Haijin nodded with a blushing face, "Yes, I understand, go and do your work." Li Yuan was afraid that Xiao's Haijin might misunderstand, so he smiled and said, "Next time, I will make an appointment with them alone, and we will have a meal together." "I know, I'm fine. Bye-bye." Chapter 101 Silent Cinema, Baiwexi's Initiative. Please subscribe, please vote. As soon as Li Yuan returned to the school gate, he saw Su Ji and Wang Shui whispering something there. He stepped forward and punched Wang Shui and Su Ji. "Xiao Shui, Daji, what are you two muttering about? You look like a bitch with a wicked smile on your face." When Wang Shui saw Li Yuan appear, his first question was, "Brother Yuan, have you really found another girlfriend?" Li Yuan nodded, "Well, I have just met Su Ji. I will introduce you to her next time. She is a very good girl." Wang Shui asked back, "What about Baiwexi? You have been chasing her for 3 years, and you just saw success, so you just gave up. Are you willing to do so? Let him let go of the past and stop talking about it." Li Yuan's expression suddenly became serious and he did not want to discuss this topic. Li Yuan came to the car, opened the door, and waved to Su Ji and Wang Shui, "What are you doing standing still? Come on, get in the car." Su Ji touched his nose awkwardly and looked in the direction of Daxia University. He hesitated to speak, not knowing how to explain to Li Yuan. Wang Shui had already arrived in front of the black Audi, touched the 4 rings, and marveled, "Brother Yuan, when did you buy the Audi? It was an 8, but it looks a bit old." Li Yuan said calmly, "I didn't buy it, I rented it." Wang Shui was stunned, "It's a rental. You just went to college. Why did you rent a car? It's not just to pick up Su Ji and me." Li Yuan rolled his eyes, "You don't even look in the mirror. I dare you to think that you are not a gorgeous beauty, but I would pick you up specially. If the confession fails, chase her bestie." Author, Ren Shenkui Ken Ru Xiahua. Chapter 102. Su Ji suddenly came over with a strange smile, "He, there will be a beautiful lady coming soon." Li Yuan was startled, "Are there others?" Su Ji laughed, "You will know after a while. Let's make a deal. You are not allowed to change your mind at the last minute. You have found your sexual happiness, but I haven't grasped it yet." Wang Shui knew the inside story. He came with Wang Yuchen and Su Ji. While waiting for Li Yuan, Wang Yuchen had already gone to the school to find Baiwexi. Since high school classmates were getting together, there was no reason to leave Baiwexi alone. He glanced at Li Yuan with a complicated expression, and was also secretly waiting to see the show. He smiled and reminded, "Brother Yuan, be careful, don't make it too ugly, we are all classmates. Even if you break up, you have to be decent." Li Yuan already had a bad premonition in his heart. Just when he was about to ask, he glanced and saw two beautifully dressed girls holding hands and appearing in front of the school gate. Who else could it be if not Wang Yuchen and Bai Wuxi? Wang Yuchen was wearing a cool JK skirt today, with white stockings and high heels, and light makeup on her face, and she was obviously dressed up. When she saw Li Yuan, she immediately greeted him with a sweet hum. "Great writer Li, you are really well hidden." Li Yuan smiled and replied, "Because there is nothing worth showing off." When Wang Yuchen saw Li Yuan's expression, she couldn't help but want to refute, "What is not worth showing off? Look at how irritating this statement is. Haha, a great writer who earns millions a month is really humble." Of course, modesty is a traditional virtue of the Chinese nation. Bai Wuxi pinched the corner of her skirt, walked over quietly, came to Li Yuan, and looked at Li Yuan quietly with her beautiful eyes. Looking at Li Yuan's familiar face, tears suddenly appeared in her eyes. The grievance in her heart had reached its peak when she saw Li Yuan. She just stared at Li Yuan without saying a word, but it seemed like she had said thousands of words. Wang Shui, Su Ji, and Wang Yuchen all felt that the atmosphere was a bit solemn, and they all kept silent, waiting for Li Yuan's response. Li Yuan looked at Bai Wuxi, who was still wearing his favorite white dress, white shoes, loose hair, and a pink bow, feeling like a fairy. "Bai Wuxi, long time no see." As soon as Li Yuan opened his mouth, Bai Wuxi couldn't hold back the tears in her eyes anymore, and they dripped. She looked at Li Yuan with red eyes. At this moment, the two of them were only one step apart, but they seemed to be as far away as a world. Seeing her best friend crying, Wang Yuchen hurriedly came forward to support Bai Wuxi, pointing at Li Yuan, wanting to help Li Yuan get justice. "Li Yuan, can you be nicer to Xiao Bai? She has been waiting for you for so long, and you treat her like this? Do you still have a conscience?" Being accused for no reason, Li Yuan's eyes turned cold and he glared at Wang Yuchen. Even if she was his good brother's girlfriend, she had no right to say that to him. He was about to fight back, but Su Ji saw that things were not going well, so he rushed up and blocked Li Yuan, pulled him aside, and pleaded in a low voice, "Brother Yuan, my brother Yuan, don't be angry, give me some face, Yuchen didn't mean it." Li Yuan snorted coldly, nodded, and turned around to leave without saying anything. Bai Wuxi felt very painful when she saw Li Yuan like this, and stopped Wang Yuchen who was about to step forward to argue, and shook his head at her. Bai Wuxi forced a smile, stopped crying, looked at Li Yuan, and said softly, "Li Yuan, I'm sorry for the past." Li Yuan snorted, "There's nothing to be sorry about, get in the car. It's not good to stand here." Li Yuan walked straight to the side of the car and got on the driver's seat. Wang Shui and Su Ji looked at each other, leaving the co-pilot to Bai Wuxi. Wang Yuchen sat at the edge, and Su Ji sat in the middle. Although Wang Yuchen was very curious about when Li Yuan bought a car, he opened his mouth but didn't ask. The atmosphere in the car suddenly fell into awkwardness. Li Yuan started the car and asked, "Where are you going? Do you have a plan?" Su Ji actually made a strategy. When Wang Yuchen said that he wanted to get together, he had already looked at the surrounding restaurants, movies, amusement parks, etc., and made a plan for the first gathering of this year's Shanghai classmates. Su Ji looked at Li Yuan and Bai Wuxi. "Well, my plan is this: we will go to KTV to sing first, then have dinner, and then go to the movies after dinner. I heard that the recently released Wall-E has received good reviews. As for the location, it is in Lanjiao shopping mall near Daxia University, where there is everything. What do you think?" Li Yuan, Bai Wuxi, and Wang Shui were surprisingly silent. This made Su Ji unable to sit still, and he wondered secretly, isn't this a normal dinner process? Why didn't they say anything? Su Ji nudged Wang Shui with his arm. "Xiao Shui, you go first." Wang Shui touched his head awkwardly. "It's fine as long as you think it's okay, I don't care." Suji pouted speechlessly and looked at Bai Wixi, who was sitting in the co-pilot. Mr. Bai, what do you think? If you have any opinions, you can raise them and we will discuss it. Bai Wixi was a little depressed. He secretly glanced at Li Yuan's profile and said softly, well, it's okay. Then only Li Yuan was left. Suji patted Li Yuan on the shoulder. Li Yuan said lightly, then let's do it. Suji breathed a sigh of relief. It was just a simple dinner and arranging an itinerary, which made him very entangled. Wang Yuchen suddenly frowned and said, Su Daji, why don't you ask for my opinion? Suji looked puzzled. Didn't we agree on this in advance? Why did you change your mind at the last minute? He was very perceptive and apologized quickly, sorry, Yuchen, I forgot to ask you. What do you think? Wang Yuchen thought for a while, and his expression revealed an inexplicable smile. I think we should go to the movies first, then have dinner and sing. It's past 3 o'clock now. When we get to the KTV, we can only sing for a few hours. It's boring if we don't sing enough. Li Yuan was speechless. It seemed that Wang Yuchen was also a microphone master. I just didn't know if her songs were as good as Bai Wuxi's. Suji asked, do you have any opinions? Several people nodded in agreement. Okay, let's do it this way. Let's go to the cinema first and set off. Li Yuan smiled, drove the car, and rushed towards Lanjiao building. He felt a little funny and weird. He came to the cinema twice in 2 days, and both were the same movie. One with his new love, the other with his old love. It was like he was playing both sides. Fortunately, his mentality had changed, otherwise he would have to endure the inner torment again. However, this feeling was indeed quite interesting and exciting. In the car, Wang Yuchen asked curiously, Li Yuan, is this your new car? Li Yuan replied indifferently, rented. Wang Yuchen breathed a sigh of relief, curled his lips, and snorted, I was just saying, an Audi A8 costs hundreds of thousands, you just started college, why did you buy a car so early? Writer Li, can you tell us when you started writing books? It's so amazing that it's already gone viral on the internet. A freshman who earns $1 million a month, wow, I can't believe it, how did you do it? Wang Yuchen asked questions one after another. Wang Shui, Suji, and Bai Wuxi were also curiously waiting for Li Yuan's answer. Li Yuan thought for a moment and said calmly, I started writing after the college entrance examination. The speaker is unintentional, but the listener is intentional. Bai Wuxi suddenly recalled the confession in Wanfo Pagoda Park that day. Li Yuan's reaction and behavior at that time made her confused for a long time. Before she came, she also secretly read the book Battle Starry Sky and noticed that the date of publication of this book was after Li Yuan's confession was rejected by her. So, from that time, he worked hard and started to create. 30 years in the East, 30 years in the West, he is hinting at me. My character in that book is probably the prototype of Nalan Yan Ran. He came to break off the engagement and was rejected. Haha, he is really a petty man. Then, who is his little medical fairy, who is his master Yun Yun, and who is his Xiao Sunur? At this moment, many strange ideas emerged in Bai Wuxi's mind. Although she knew that it was a novel, she always felt that some of the content in the novel might become reality. If Li Yuan thinks I'm Nalan Yan Ran, do I still have a chance? Bai Wuxi's already restless heart was completely turbulent, and she fell into self-doubt, and she didn't even hear the conversation of the people in the car. Until she was patted on the shoulder by Wang Yuchen. Bai, we're here, get off the car. Oh, we're already here. Bai Wuxi was a little dazed. In the cinema, Suji spontaneously stepped forward to buy a movie ticket. Brother Yuan, this is your ticket. Li Yuan took the ticket and looked at it. It was at the edge of the last row, 12th row, 11th seat. Bai Wuxi also took the movie ticket handed over by Suji. which showed 12th row, 12th seat. Wang Shui secretly glanced at the movie tickets in the hands of the four of them, and then looked at his own movie ticket in the hand, 6th row, 6th seat, and suddenly felt that the light above his head was a little dazzling. He cursed in his heart, "Damn, I'm the only single dog and light bulb. Maybe I shouldn't be here today, I should be under the car." Even the afternoon movie theater was full of people. Su Ji is indeed a new generation of warm man, thoughtfully preparing popcorn, milk tea, and ice cola. Li Yuan didn't see Bai Weixi's movie ticket. After entering the theater, he found that their seats were lined up together. He looked at Su Ji sitting on the other side suspiciously. Su Ji gave him a strange smile, obviously he did it on purpose. As soon as he sat down, Bai Weixi suddenly whispered, "Li Yuan, this is the first time for the two of us to watch a movie in a movie theater." Li Yuan hummed lightly. In the small county town of his hometown, there was no later movie theater in 2008, only an old theater. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Kan Ru Xiahua. Chapter 103. Bai Weixi's cheeks were flushed, and she sat closer to Li Yuan. The smell of perfume on her body was already coming to her face. "This is my first time watching a movie." Li Yuan just nodded, understanding what Bai Weixi meant. Seeing Li Yuan's cold expression, Bai Weixi felt very aggrieved. Why was he still indifferent even though he had taken such initiative? Li Yuan didn't know what he was thinking. Not long after he returned to this era, he was resentful of Bai Weixi. Later, when he thought about it, he felt that he was at a disadvantage. He couldn't take advantage of her so much, so he wanted to take her first blood and kick her away. When he first arrived at university, after that forced kiss, Bai Weixi's cold attitude, the essay he wrote later, and meeting Xia's Haijin, a treasure girl, made his desire for revenge completely fade away. Man is an emotional animal. Whether in his past life or in this life, he is a very ordinary person. There is neither the pattern of the reborn nor the character and abilities of those real Neptunes. Speaking of which, even if he is reborn, he is still the same very ordinary self who was good-looking and good for nothing. Compared with his previous life, he has just changed from a fake second-generation rich to a real first-generation rich. Li Yuan was silent, Bai Weixi was also silent, and the atmosphere was a little awkward for a while. Fortunately, the movie started soon, and Wally the robot began to make his debut. Li Yuan has watched it n times, and naturally has no interest at all. It is a dark cinema and he cannot use his mobile phone. Li Yuan leaned on his seat, thinking about the future development path of the company. The Honor of Kings online game has begun project approval and is being developed in an orderly manner. This is a long-term process. The Zhi website is also being built by Lin Yue and her team, and it will be at least a week before the first test. Websites and games are just two of the many entrepreneurial methods he listed. There are other ways to make a lot of money, which are still lying in the folder. Perhaps, you can consider building a food delivery website first. The current food delivery market has great prospects. Meituan Food Delivery, ele.me, Home Delivery, etc. have either not been established yet, or they have just developed. If we can use the power of the Zhi website, if it is rolled out on university campuses first, it will also have great prospects. Just doing takeout is too expensive, and I am afraid that the little money I have is not even a drop in the bucket. Bai Weixi had no intention of watching a movie. Even though the movie had a high rating, it was indeed interesting. After just a few glances, it was captivating. She secretly looked at Li Yuan several times and saw that he had been sleeping with his eyes closed. The feeling of loss, grievance, and discomfort in her heart became even more intense. She has never been able to figure out what she did wrong, apart from rejecting Li Yuan's confession in the 10,000 Buddha Pagoda Park, to make Li Yuan's attitude towards her become like this. He even kissed her. Thinking of this, Bai Wuxi felt aggrieved and wanted to cry. At that time, he still imagined that Li Yuan would come to comfort him, but in the blink of an eye, as Li Yuan's identity as a great writer was exposed, he was about to no longer belong to him. After thinking about it, Bai Wuxi shed tears and looked at Li Yuan's side face with red eyes. Li Yuan was still immersed in his business ideas and did not notice Bai Wuxi sobbing softly. Time began to pass quickly as the plot of the movie unfolded. Bai Wuxi was unwilling to give up. She looked at Li Yuan, thought for a long time, and finally made up her mind. Stretching out her soft little hand, taking great courage, she took the initiative to hold a boy's hand for the first time in her life. Li Yuan was suddenly startled when Bai Wuxi held his hand. He woke up from his business fantasy in an instant. He did not take away his hand and looked at Bai Wuxi with doubtful eyes. This was also the first time in 2 lifetimes that Bai Wuxi took the initiative to hold his hand. Bai Wuxi's eyes, shining with tears under the dim light of the movie screen, stared closely at Li Yuan, wanting to say something, but not knowing how to say it. The two looked at each other in silence. Bai Wuxi suddenly said, "Li Yuan, I just want to know one thing. Where did I go wrong? You want to do this to me?" Li Yuan was stunned by the question and looked at Bai Wuxi's sincere eyes. For a moment, he really didn't think of how to answer. At this time, Bai Wuxi may not have been affected by the years of college, and the green tea essence in his character has not yet been stimulated. If so, where did she go wrong? The mistake was that Li Yuan was reborn. Li Yuan's silence gave Bai Wuxi hope. She held Li Yuan's hand tightly, moved her body, leaned against Li Yuan, and pressed against each other. She could feel the special touch coming from the skin. "Li Yuan, please don't leave me when we go back to before. I promise to be your girlfriend." Li Yuan felt very interesting when he saw her like this. Green Tea, who was once so arrogant and rejected his confession many times and treated him like a fish, actually has such a side. As expected, Grandmaster never deceived me. Li Yuan's heart moved and he decided to give Bai Wuxi another chance to fight with him. Looking at Bai Wuxi's tearful beautiful eyes, she said coldly, "Since you want to be my girlfriend, you must fulfill your girlfriend's obligations. Can you do it?" Bai Wuxi immediately understood the meaning of Li Yuan's words. Her eyes hesitated slightly, but she finally made up her mind, nodded, and replied softly with one word. Li Yuan smiled, looking at Bai Wuxi's eyes and beautiful face, as well as the red lips that once haunted him. Without any hesitation, he directly covered her. The two intersected, warm and sweet, a completely different feeling from the last time at the train station. Bai Wuxi, this time, did not resist, allowing Li Yuan to continuously break through the barriers, and responded awkwardly and enthusiastically. Chapter 102 Green tea is not good to drink, but it quenches thirst. Please subscribe. In the dark cinema, the lights are very dim, and the people sitting in the last row watching the movie are basically couples. Suji carefully stretched out his hand, taking advantage of the dim light, and plucked up the courage to pull Wang Yuchen's little hand, but Wang Yuchen hummed and decisively slapped it away, still shouting, "Watch the movie at ease, don't make a move." Suji smiled embarrassedly, retracted his hand, and felt a little helpless in his heart, and couldn't help but think of what Li Yuan had said to him before. "If you can do it, do it, if you can talk, talk, don't drag it out." At that time, he was still teasing Li Yuan, saying that he was pursuing true love. Thinking about it now, he suddenly felt that what Li Yuan said was really true. Wang Yuchen was the kind of lively girl who was more giggling, a little quirky, and carefree. Suji also liked her personality. But the more lively a girl is, the more she behaves in a vague way when it comes to dating. She looks easy to get along with, but it is difficult to get into it. She can only dawdle outside. He also pursued Wang Yuchen for a long time, and was admitted to the same university in Shanghai. Logically speaking, it should have been a positive result and a relationship between a man and a woman. But so far, he has only held hands, and there has been no further intimate contact. Moreover, if the two of them walk in public places such as campus, Wang Yuchen will not let him hold her hand at all, with a clear sense of distance. Su Ji didn't think much about it before, but today, when he saw Li Yuan openly holding Xia's Haijin's hand, he hesitated and doubted. Thinking of the very beautiful and innocent girl that Li Yuan was holding hands with at the school gate, but who was obedient to Li Yuan, Su Ji envied and muttered in his heart. I don't know how Li Yuan seduced such a beautiful girlfriend. It's only been half a month since the start of school, and she is willing to walk hand in hand with him in public. Now Li Yuan and Bai Wuxi are sitting together to watch a movie. I wonder if something will happen between the two old lovers and rekindle their love. Su Ji was very curious, so he followed the dim light and looked towards Li Yuan's position. There were 5 or 6 people between him and Li Yuan. It doesn't matter if you don't look, but you will be shocked when you see it. Although the lights in the cinema are dim, the outlines of people can still be seen clearly. Su Ji widened his eyes and saw that Li Yuan was hugging Bai Wuxi tightly, as if they were kissing passionately. This made him feel incredible. The movie had only started for less than half an hour, and Li Yuan and Bai Wuxi, the old lovers, had rekindled their relationship. What about the breakup they agreed to? What about the block? Bai Wuxi even wrote a short essay, and their high school classmates had eaten all the melons. It had not been half a month, and they were back to being friends again, and even went a step further, hugging each other and biting each other. Also, didn't Li Yuan already have a girlfriend? Su Ji's brain crashed on the spot, and he couldn't figure out what Li Yuan was doing. The girl he was holding hands with today was also very nice. As expected of brother Yuan, he is so awesome. He can play with 2 school beauties at the same time. He can do it so quickly. Yuchen said he was a scumbag before, and he was right. Compared with him, I am a clown. If anyone says Li Yuan is the most infatuated in the future, I will tear his mouth apart. He is definitely a scumbag. Su Ji muttered a few words in his heart. Looking at Wang Yuchen's profile, he suddenly felt itchy. He was also a college student full of blood. Reached out his hand and continued to hold Wang Yuchen's hand. Wang Yuchen frowned and asked, Su Daji, what are you going to do? Su Ji replied, do it. Li Yuan hugged Bai Wuxi and kissed her passionately. Bai Wuxi's skills were very awkward and she was no match for him at all. Li Yuan's heart was pounding as he enchanted Bai Wuxi's smooth and delicate long legs. This feeling was extremely strange, as if the dream of 2 lifetimes had suddenly come true. I could only admire these long and smooth legs from a distance in my previous life. It was such a loss. Fortunately, I made up for it in this life. I can't waste it again in the future. If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Ken Ru Xiahua. Chapter 104. Li Yuan muttered to himself, his hands moving constantly. No wonder there is often a slang saying playing with legs for a year. If you only play with these long legs for a year, it would be a waste. Bai Wuxi glared at Li Yuan shyly, covered the last Highland Tower with both hands, guarding the crystal, trying to stop Li Yuan from breaking through all obstacles and completing the feat of stealing the tower. Feeling the change in Bai Wuxi's attitude, Li Yuan suddenly felt complacent. No wonder both boys and girls like the feeling of playing hard to get, pulling each other, and being close yet distant. This is the right way to open a relationship. Simply being a licking dog, even if you give 10,000 sincere hearts and give everything, will only end in tragedy. Girls may not like handsome men, nor may they like rich men, but they will definitely like scumbag men. That's the reason. Only when you are a scumbag can you have a model leg, milk to drink, and fish to eat. When Li Yuan imitated Han Xian and forcibly picked the tower and touched a part of her body, Bai Wuxi seemed to wake up suddenly, and escaped from Li Yuan as if escaping, staring at Li Yuan with tears in her eyes, wanting to say something, but she didn't dare to speak because she was in the cinema. Bai Wuxi's face was red, tears were shining in her eyes, feeling Li Yuan's breath, her heart was pounding, her body seemed to be limp, and she couldn't muster any strength. When she was preparing for this high school reunion, she decided to give Li Yuan some sweet taste and confirm the relationship between boyfriend and girlfriend, but when she really tried it in person, she couldn't hold it back. Li Yuan's attack power was full. Li Yuan put his head next to Bai Wuxi's face, with a smile on his lips. "Xiao Bai, your performance just now was not bad, keep up the good work in the future." Bai Wuxi gently bit Li Yuan's ears, and said shyly, "Li Yuan, you are a big bad guy." Li Yuan smiled, "Men are not bad, women don't love them." "Xiao Bai, do you like me now or in the past?" "I still like you in the past." Bai Wuxi stared at Li Yuan and said shyly, "Li Yuan, we are already like this, you have to be responsible for me in the future. In the future, if you ignore me again, I will cry for you to see." Looking at Bai Wuxi's coquettish and shy expression, Li Yuan's heart jumped, and he had a completely different experience. Is this the fun of a successful man? It's really cool. Having money and a career are more important than anything else. Just because he exposed his identity as a great writer with a monthly income of 1 million, he has rejected him 3 times, and the green tea Bai Yue Guang in his heart has begun to chase him. If he is still the poor boy pretending to be a rich second generation, with nothing but a strong body, he wants Bai Wuxi to chase him, just dream about it. Li Yuan now sees things clearly. Bai Wuxi may have a good impression of him, but what can make her make up her mind is definitely the weight of money. Although green tea is not delicious, it can quench thirst. Let's drink some green tea in the future. Li Yuan looked at Bai Wuxi, who was looking at him expectantly, and suddenly felt that this was not bad. "In the future, as long as you are obedient, I will treat you well as before." Bai Wuxi thought that Li Yuan had finally changed his mind, and her voice was much gentler. "Well, I listen to you." Li Yuan hugged Bai Wuxi from behind and held her in his arms, and lowered his voice, "Since you listen to me, then sit in my arms and watch the movie." Bai Wuxi felt the dishonesty of Li Yuan's big hand and lowered her head shyly. "Li Yuan, don't stay here, wait until we get back." Li Yuan's eyes lit up. Is there another surprise tonight? The movie was so enjoyable that Li Yuan was still not satisfied. When the movie ended and the lights came on, Bai Wuxi was too shy to look up. She took Li Yuan's hand and followed him. After leaving the theater, he met up with Wang Shui, Suji, and Wang Yuchen. Suji saw Li Yuan holding Bai Wuxi's hand and gave a thumbs up, saying meaningfully, "Brother Yuan, you are good. You are so brave and you are not afraid of failure." Suji's implication was that Li Yuan was playing 2 girls at the same time. Li Yuan naturally understood and immediately fought back, laughing, "Su, you should also hurry up and don't just talk alone." As an old driver who often drives each other, Suji also understood what Li Yuan meant and was speechless in an instant. He was indeed just talking alone. Wang Yuchen naturally saw the scene of Li Yuan holding Bai Wuxi's hand. He couldn't help but widen his eyes and pulled Bai Wuxi aside to ask privately what happened in the theater. This emotional reconciliation is a bit too fast. Wang Yuchen looked at Bai Wuxi, whose face was blushing. It was the first time she saw her like this, and she couldn't help but ask curiously, "Xiao Bai, have you and Li Yuan made up?" Bai Wuxi nodded with a smile, "Yes, I agreed to be his girlfriend." Wang Yuchen was a little suspicious. "That's it? Why don't I believe it? Why is your face so red?" Did you do that with him in the cinema? Biwixi spat and quickly blocked her mouth. Yuchen, it's not what you think, that's it, don't ask, you will know later. Biwixi felt it was difficult to speak. In the more than 2-hour movie, the two people kissed for more than half an hour. For the rest of the time, Li Yuan was not honest either. He really used his hands and mouth, and all 10 fingers were down. She also knew that true boyfriends and girlfriends would definitely have this kind of intimacy, and even further, negative distance contact. So, Li Yuan asked that question. Since she agreed to be his girlfriend, these things would be necessary sooner or later. This was also the reason why she was unwilling to accept Li Yuan's confession before. If she really wanted to go this far, she would consider it only if she could see hope in the future. Now she saw it. Wang Yuchen muttered, "Come on, I thought you two would have to drag it out for a while." Biwixi heard it clearly and understood it, her pretty face flushed, and the speed of reconciliation was indeed a little fast. The cinema is indeed a great place for dating and promoting relationships. She blinked her beautiful eyes at Wang Yuchen and smiled mischievously. "Yuchen, did you and Suji kiss in the cinema?" Wang Yuchen looked indifferent, without any shyness. "Su Daji wanted to, but I didn't give him a chance." Biwixi stared with big eyes, saying it was hard to understand. Will Suji learn from Li Yuan in the past? Wang Yuchen's eyes lit up, and she nodded in agreement. If Suji can also turn grief into strength, work hard, and become a great writer with a monthly income of 1 million, I will agree to be his real girlfriend. With his ugly appearance, he doesn't have the talent of Li Yuan. Biwixi suddenly thought of a sentence written by Li Yuan in Battle of the Stars, 30 years in the East, 30 years in the West, don't despise the poor young. Isn't Li Yuan a ready-made example? Li Yuan is not the first and will not be the last person who can earn 1 million a month by his own ability. Yuchen, Suji is a pretty good person. He likes you so much, don't learn from me and lose him. Wang Yuchen smiled cheerfully. It's okay if he loses you. Maybe the next one will be better. Biwixi was speechless. She suddenly understood why Li Yuan treated her like that before. The person in charge is confused, but the bystander is clear. She felt guilty. I misunderstood Li Yuan before. Yuchen, let's go. They are still waiting for us over there. Wang Yuchen muttered, it's only a few minutes. Let them wait. Xiaobai, let me tell you, when I went downstairs today, I made Suji wait for me for half an hour. If a man is unwilling to wait for you, then he must not love you. Listening to Wang Yuchen's tone, Biwixi's strange feeling in her heart became stronger. It's always bad to make a boy wait. On the other side, Li Yuan was also talking nonsense with Wang Shui and Suji, sharing his love experience. After more than half a month in college, he has realized that the experience of the scumbags learned from the ancestors on Duyan is really useful. Xiaoshui, let me tell you, if you like a girl, chase her bravely, and start early. You may still have fresh cream bread in college, but when you enter society, you can only eat the leftovers that others have gnawed. But if you want to chase a girl, you must also pay attention to the methods. Don't be like a licking dog all day long, asking every day, good morning, have you eaten? Have you slept? What are you doing? Asking non-stop. In addition to being self-touched, it is useless and will only make girls think you are cheap. Li Yuan talked freely, Wang Shui listened very seriously, and Suji was a little uncomfortable. He glanced at Li Yuan and always felt that the licking dog Li Yuan was talking about was him. If you really want to get started, just make an appointment, go to the cinema to watch a movie, go to the amusement park, play bumper cars, Ferris wheels, roller coasters, etc., to give her an unforgettable impression, which is much more advanced than buying breakfast and giving milk tea. Whenever there is a chance, you should create opportunities for close contact. By the way, holding hands is just the first step, there is no need to ask her opinion at all, just get started directly. Su Ji interrupted, what if she refuses? Wang Shui was also looking forward to waiting for Li Yuan's answer. Li Yuan thought about the experience he learned and smiled, it's okay to refuse, but there is no more than 3 times the limit, just change someone. There are so many girls in college, you won't be afraid of not finding a partner, right? Wang Shui felt a little itchy, he hadn't been in a relationship yet, and continued to ask, Brother Yuan, how should I approach strange girls? Our class is a science class, and the quality of the girls is average. The quality of the girls in the finance college next door is not bad, and one girl is particularly beautiful. Li Yuan glanced at him, and there was something he didn't say. When looking for a partner, you must be sure of your position and understand the girl's personality. Otherwise, it will be easy to become the topic of conversation in the girl's dormitory, family, who knows, I met a man who is inferior today. The author has a serious high fever and is unconscious. The next chapter will be updated later, sob 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 sob. Chapter 103 Lin Yue, the boss has changed his girlfriend again? Li Yuan was about to pass on some of his experience to Wang Shui and Su Ji, 2 innocent ex-CNS, when he saw Bai Wuxi and Wang Yuchen walking over arm in arm. Wang Yuchen smiled sweetly, Li, the great talent, what are you going to take us to eat tonight? I have to kill you for Xiao Bai today. You can't catch a wolf without sacrificing your child, and you can't eat white rabbit milk candy without sacrificing your wallet. If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Kan Ru Xiahua. Chapter 105. Li Yuan looked at Bai Wuxi and Wang Yuchen, then what do you want to eat? Before Bai Wuxi could speak, Wang Yuchen answered first, seafood is the most expensive, I want to have a seafood dinner. Li Yuan was speechless. He suddenly realized that this Wang Yuchen looked a bit like a real green tea bitch. In his previous life, he didn't know much about Wang Yuchen. He was bent on being Bai Wuxi's licking dog, trying his best to make money while riding the horse, so he didn't realize this. Now, from his conversation with Su Ji and his observations, Wang Yuchen is developing in this direction even if he is not green tea now. Li Yuan looked at Bai Wuxi who was hesitant to speak, and asked with a smile, Xiao Bai, what about you, do you want to eat? Bai Wuxi glanced at Li Yuan, and just as she was about to speak, Wang Yuchen tugged on her skirt, constantly hinting at her. Bai Wuxi hesitated slightly and looked at Wang Yuchen with her beautiful eyes. When she saw her nodding towards him, she said softly, then just listen to Yuchen. Wang Shui clicked his tongue and smiled secretly. He had already seen that Wang Yuchen was determined to kill Li Yuan, a rich man. Making $1 million a month is too enviable. His family still has some wealth, and has 2 stores in the county, but its total assets are only a few million, and the available liquid cash is not even 1 million, but only a few 100,000 at most. Li Yuan's income from 2 or 3 months of hard work is equivalent to the income of his parents and even his grandparents who worked hard for decades. To say that I am not envious would be to say that I am not being envious. Wang Shui grinned and chuckled, Daji, you 2 beauties, you have to open your belly to eat today, you must eat Li Yuan to pieces. Li Yuan smiled. It would be very difficult to eat him up with a seafood dinner. Since Xiaobai and Yuchen both want to eat seafood, let's go try it. In his previous life, Li Yuan, as an ordinary communal animal, rarely ate seafood because it was too expensive and he couldn't afford it. Especially fresh abalone, which can cost him half a month's salary at a time. No matter how expensive it is, it will not only hurt your wallet, but also hurt your body. As a comprehensive shopping mall, Lanjiao building has a seafood buffet that is relatively high-end in Shanghai. Li Yuan and his group of 5 people headed straight to the seafood buffet. Hu Zhenqiang, Xiezheng, and Lin Yue had just left the company, and they were still discussing the new company in low voices on the way. Lin Yue said with a smile, "Hey, I just checked, our company has only been established for less than 2 months, and the big boss is Mr. Li Yuan. Our Mr. Li is not only young and rich, but also very courageous and far-sighted. I feel that if I follow him, I will definitely achieve great things." Hu Zhenqiang agreed very much with this. Thinking of the game plan proposed by Li Yuan, he was shocked and burst out with amazing fighting spirit. His eyes were bright. Mr. Li is indeed very far-sighted and courageous. As long as we can continue with this plan, we will not necessarily be inferior to game companies such as Wanji in the future. Xie Zheng shook his head. He could see the difficulty. The game proposed by Li Yuan was not simple. The various data and modeling alone were a huge workload. Their team of 20 people has sufficient personnel strength, but the funds required will be very large, probably not much less than those legendary games. Although the future of the new company is bright, the process will be difficult. Let's go have something to eat first and continue working overtime after dinner. Mr. Li has provided me with a generous salary, and accordingly, the requirements for us are also very high. Hu Zhenqiang responded as he should, it's normal to have high requirements, because it will be an epoch-making game, and it will also be the famous work of our Bai Yujing studio that will go down in history. As the three of them were chatting, Lin Yue's eyes suddenly lit up and she saw a familiar figure not far ahead. "Look, guys, is that person our boss?" Hu Zhenqiang asked quickly, "Where is it?" "It's at the elevator entrance in front. His stature and clothes are exactly the same as what our boss is wearing today," Lin Yue said hesitantly. "However, the boss seems to have other friends around him. Do you want to say hello?" Hu Zhenqiang suggested, "It's better to go say hello." Seeing that Li Yuan was very familiar with Longjia building, Wang Yuchen couldn't help but asked in confusion, "Li Yuan, I feel like you are very familiar with this place. Have you come here often before?" Bai Wuxi also showed a suspicious expression, and a woman's sixth sense told her that there might be something wrong. Li Yuan smiled awkwardly and was about to make up an excuse when he suddenly heard someone calling him. "Mr. Li, what a coincidence!" Lin Yue greeted Li Yuan with a respectful smile. "Mr. Li, okay. Mr. Li." Xie Zheng and Hu Zhenqiang also greeted Li Yuan in unison. The new boss is so young and his character is still unclear. He is probably young and energetic. It would be bad if he was written down in the book. Li Yuan looked at the three newly recruited key players of the company and smiled, "What a coincidence. Are you going to have dinner after get off work?" After hearing this, Lin Yue thought there was something in Li Yuan's words, and quickly explained, "Mr. Li, we are going to eat something casually first, and then go back to the company to catch up on the progress." Li Yuan was speechless. Lin Yue regarded him as a black-hearted capitalist. Is he that kind of person? It's already 6 o'clock in the evening. According to the rules he established, it is indeed time to get off work. I just wanted to say, stop doing this and go home quickly. When the words came to his lips, Li Yuan said another sentence, "Well, then you go to eat, remember to go back early." Lin Yue quietly glanced at Bai Wuxi next to Li Yuan. This girl in a white dress was tall, like a star, and had an outstanding temperament, which made even a girl like her shine. When she just came over, she seemed to see her holding Li Yuan's hand. What's the relationship? Could it be that the very beautiful secretary Xia this morning was not the boss's girlfriend? Could it be that the boss has two girlfriends? The fire of gossip suddenly ignited in Lin Yue's heart. "Okay, Mr. Li, you're busy then." After Lin Yue and the others left, 4 pairs of eyes looked at Li Yuan with puzzled expressions. Wang Yuchen kept clicking her tongue and looked at Li Yuan from top to bottom. "Mr. Li? Li Yuan, when did you become Mr. Li? There are 3 more employees." Su Ji also looked confused and patted Li Yuan on the shoulder. "Brother Yuan, okay, is there anything else you are hiding from us?" Wang Shui suddenly thought that before going to college, Li Yuan said he wanted to do business. He originally thought that writing online novels was what Li Yuan called business, but now it seems that it is not that, and there is another hidden reason. Brother Yuan, let me tell you the truth. Apart from being a great writer who earns millions a month, what other identities do you have? Tell them all at once, so that we won't be shocked by going back and forth like a country hat. Bai Wuxi didn't say a word, just thinking about the scene just now. When Li Yuan saw the three people just now, he subconsciously let go of her hand. Li Yuan saw Wang Shui and others staring at him and laughed. I'm preparing to start a business. I'll tell you the details later. Let's go eat now. Wang Yuchen curled her lips and snorted, if you don't want to say it, don't say it. What else can you hide? Treat us like outsiders. Li Yuan joked, why, you don't want to be an outsider, but you still want to be an insider? I'm afraid Su Daji will knock me out behind my back. Su Ji touched his head in embarrassment and said nothing. Wang Yuchen choked, rolled her eyes, and suddenly pulled Bai Wuxi and stared at Li Yuan. What about Xiao Bai? She is your girlfriend and your wife. You have to confess to her, right? Bai Wuxi rolled her eyes at Wang Yuchen with a shy face. Talking about outsiders and insiders was so unpleasant. Li Yuan looked at Bai Wuxi, smiled and asked, Xiao Bai, do you want to know? Bai Wuxi shook his head, stared at Li Yuan seriously, and said softly, I'm waiting for the day when you tell me voluntarily, instead of me taking the initiative to ask. Li Yuan raised his eyebrows. This green tea girl, hearing this tone, really took on the role of girlfriend. Li Yuan changed the subject, let's go and eat first. Don't you want a seafood dinner? Bai Wuxi kept staring at Li Yuan, feeling a little disappointed in her heart. When walking, she no longer held Li Yuan's hand and walked silently with Wang Yuchen. Li Yuan didn't take it seriously and took advantage of some free time to open QQ on his mobile phone. There are still many unread messages on QQ on the mobile phone, most of them are from college classmates, and some are from high school classmates. Obviously they also know the news that Li Yuan has become a popular writer. After casually scrolling through it, I found that my college classmate Wang Zhirong, a girl who looked like a green tea, had sent him 7 or 8 messages, including welfare photos of herself, full of teasing and hints. She is indeed a welfare girl. Li Yuan was very speechless. If he was a real scumbag who was not taboo about meat and vegetables, he would probably push this green tea down with his hands. I didn't want to talk to her, but I thought since I wanted to be the king of the sea, there must be a few fish in the fish pond. My photography skills are good, I can learn photography part-time in the future. Li Yuan continued to scroll down and saw a message sent to him by Zhong Tingyu. Looking at the content, he felt excited. Writer Li, are the stories you told me and the songs you wrote last night all true? Li Yuan suddenly fell silent, not knowing how to answer. There were many unexpected factors between him and Zhong Tingyu. If it weren't for the chance encounter on the first day of school, it might have been a long time before he crossed paths with Zhong Tingyu. If I hadn't gone to dinner with my roommates that night, I wouldn't have met Zhong Tingyu on the way, and there wouldn't have been a little more ambiguity. If, last night, he had not met Zhong Tingyu again by chance and his lie was exposed, he would not have made up such a bloody story, and Zhong Tingyu would not drink or go to the playground with him alone. Listen to him singing Nan Shan Nan, let him dance in the moonlight, and give him a kiss like a dragonfly on water. In short, there are many, many coincidences between the two. And last night, Zhong Tingyu danced solo under the moonlight on the playground, which really made his heart beat. It felt like facing the campus goddess, like a red rose full of thorns, which attracted him deeply. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Ken Ryu Xiahua. Chapter 106. Li Yuan thought for a moment before replying seriously. True or false, false or true, who can tell the difference? Sometimes I wonder which world I am in is real and which world is just a dream. Li Yuan did have these doubts in his mind. Rebirth is incredible. The things that happened in his previous life were clearly imprinted in his mind. Sometimes, in the dead of night, he would doubt himself, whether he was reborn or he had an extremely real dream and woke up suddenly. Not long after Li Yuan sent it out, Zhong Tingyu sent another message. Are you free tonight? I want to sing a song for you, smiley face JPG. Is there such a good thing? Li Yuan thought to himself, and his mind instantly thought of the scene where Zhong Tingyu danced Waltz of Love under the moonlight on the football field last night. She was really a moonlight goddess. Just when he was about to answer yes, he suddenly remembered the words that Bai Wuxi said to him in the cinema that made him particularly restless. He suppressed the urge to see Zhong Tingyu and replied with great difficulty. Xiao Yu, there is something special tonight. How about tomorrow night? I have time. Zhong Tingyu replied to the message quickly. Well, okay, then, we will meet there, happy JPG. See you there. Li Yuan's heart was pounding, and he had a special feeling, like a guilty thief. He secretly glanced at Bai Wuxi. Seeing that she was chatting with Wang Yuchen, he secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Li Yuan continued to look at the messages on his mobile phone, and suddenly found another message from an hour ago. The message note was I love to eat coriander. A message from Xiao Yu. Li Yuan was puzzled and quickly opened the message to check. Brother Zaiwa, are you free tomorrow? I'll go to see you. The gift I prepared for you has arrived. Li Yuan read the message and thought about the phone call that day. Xiao Yu did say that she would give him a special gift. But why tomorrow again? Li Yuan was a little scared. Xiao Yu wanted to come to the school to find him. It seemed that he couldn't refuse. He suddenly thought of the scene when Xiao Yu came to see him for the first time. That day, Xiao Yu wore a Hanfu costume, which, coupled with her fairy-like appearance, attracted many people to watch and secretly take pictures. If she came to Daxia University to find him again, it always felt that the situation was a bit dangerous. At Daxia University, there are two girlfriends, Xiao's Haijin and Bai Wuxi, and Zhong Tingyu, an ambiguous object. If it turns over, that feeling. Li Yuan suddenly shuddered. Damn, I always feel like I'm walking on a tightrope in a sea of fire and swords. It won't explode before it starts. After thinking carefully for a long time, Li Yuan still didn't have the courage to let Xiao Yu come to Daxia University to find him. He was afraid that he couldn't control the situation. I haven't been to your school yet. I'll go find you tomorrow and you can take me around your school. After Li Yuan sent the message, Zhang Ziyu didn't reply immediately. He continued to flip through the messages and picked out some replies. Suddenly, Wang Yuchen's teasing and mocking came to his ears again. Li Yuan, you are really busy. You kept playing with your phone all the way. Who are you secretly messaging with? Li Yuan glanced at Wang Yuchen and felt very strange. Why did this little hot pepper target him everywhere? I ate your rice? Little hot pepper, I think you should pay more attention to Daji, not me. Wang Yuchen snorted, Daji is much better than you. I don't worry about him. I don't think he has the courage. But you already have Xiaobai, don't flirt with other girls outside and do things that will let Xiaobai down. Li Yuan thought to himself, are you Bai Wuxi's mother? You are really nosy. He now has some doubts. In his previous life, the reason why Bai Wuxi turned into a green tea whore within 2 years of entering university was because of Wang Yuchen's influence. This era is the beginning of the gradual deterioration of the relationship between men and women. The number of fairies, green tea whores, gold diggers and other gold diggers has also gradually increased. Of course, more warm men have gradually turned into licking dogs. The licking dog economy has officially begun. Li Yuan glanced at Su Ji and gave him a look. This guy is really a weak husband. He can't hold Wang Yuchen, a little hot pepper. Su Ji was embarrassed by Li Yuan's eyes. What can he do? He hasn't chased her yet. Coincidentally, Huasha seafood buffet arrived. Li Yuan put his mobile phone into his pocket without changing his expression, and said with a smile, "It's here, let's go in." Wang Yuchen, Bai Wuxi and others looked at this luxuriously decorated seafood buffet restaurant, and they were also replaced by excitement. As inland people, they really don't have many opportunities to eat seafood. As a high-end seafood buffet, Huasha Seafood Restaurant is not only luxuriously decorated, but also has very good waiters, all of whom are about 1.7 meters tall with long legs. Their appearance can be regarded as class beauties in a general science university class. The waiter bowed politely and greeted, "Welcome to Huasha, sirs, do you have a reservation?" Li Yuan said lightly, "5 people, no reservation." The waiter did not look down on Li Yuan and his friends because they were college students, and still introduced with a smile. "Sir, we at Huasha have a summer special offer, only 688 per person, and you can eat and drink for free. There are fresh hairy crabs, Australian lobsters, king crabs, salmon, tuna." Li Yuan felt okay after hearing this. Prices were not that expensive now. When he was about to return to his hometown to develop, he and a girlfriend came to eat there for the last time. Each person paid 1,488 yuan, which was much more expensive than now. Of course, prices had already soared overall at that time. Su Ji, Wang Shui, Wang Yuchen, and Bai Wuxi were all shocked when they heard the price. Each person would pay 688 yuan, and 5 people would pay nearly 3,500 yuan, which was their living expenses for 5 or 6 months. Su Ji swallowed his saliva and wanted to persuade Li Yuan to change a restaurant, but he was too embarrassed to speak. Even Wang Yuchen, who had been clamoring to rip off Li Yuan, hesitated to speak. Li Yuan said directly, "Take us to our seats." Wang Shui pulled Li Yuan's clothes and whispered, "Brother Yuan, it's a bit too expensive. A meal costs more than 3,000 yuan. Li Yuan laughed, "Don't worry, I still have this money." Li Yuan sat on his seat and looked at Bai Wuxi, who was a little restrained and curious, and waved his hand, "Xiao Bai, Yuchen, you go and choose the food, eat whatever you want, eat as much as you want, and see if you can get your money back." Seeing Li Yuan's generous look, Bai Wuxi suddenly felt that he had made the right move. Wang Yuchen also covered his mouth and laughed, eager to try. "Xiao Bai, Li Yuan is now a local tyrant, earning $1 million a month, we should not save money for him." Bai Wuxi smiled sweetly, and I don't know what she thought of, her face flushed. Wang Yuchen said excitedly, "Xiao Bai, let's go see what delicious food the seafood restaurant has." They dare to charge 688 per person. After Wang Shui, Su Ji, Bai Wuxi, and others went to get the seafood, Li Yuan heard the ringing of his mobile phone. He took it out and saw that it was Xiao Yuer calling. Li Yuan's heart was startled. He looked around and saw Bai Wuxi and Wang Yuchen were picking king crabs more than 20 meters away. Li Yuan quickly answered the phone, and Xiao Yuer's clear and pleasant voice like a silver bell entered his ears. "Brother Xiahua, do you miss me?" Li Yuan's heart skipped a beat, and he quickly said, "I'm thinking about it, Xiao Yuer, are you guys on vacation?" "Humph, brother Xiahua must be lying to Xiao Yuer, you haven't called me on your own initiative." Li Yuan was embarrassed and wiped the cold sweat from his forehead. No, I'm busy recently, and I have to type every day, so I don't have time to look at my phone." "Oh, brother Xiahua has to do military training and type, it's really too hard." He, come to our school tomorrow, I'll give you a massage." Li Yuan asked curiously, "What should I massage?" Stupid, massage your shoulders. I heard from other authors that long-term typing can easily cause lumbar disc herniation. Brother Xiahua, you must pay attention to your health and exercise more often. Li Yuan felt warm in his heart. Xiao Yu really cared about him. Well, I'm going to try Xiao Er's cooking skills tomorrow. Brother Xiahua, I learned it from an aunt. I often give grandpa massages, and he always says that I'm very good at it. Then I'm really flattered. Hee, I'm willing to do it. By the way, Brother Xiahua, our school has decided to hold a welcome party on September 30th, you must come. September 30th. It's almost the National Day holiday. I will definitely try my best to keep the appointment. Brother Xiahua, I really want to see you. On the other side, Wang Yuchen and Bai Wuxi were curiously and excitedly looking at various seafood products. Wow, king crab, Australian lobster, I've only eaten it twice since I was a child. Wang Yuchen cheered excitedly. Bai Wuxi is just an ordinary teacher's family. Her parents' salary is also very low. It's no problem to maintain a normal life, but if she wants to buy better clothes, bags, and cosmetics, her mother will hesitate for a long time. It was her first time to eat expensive seafood products like king crab and Australian lobster. Thinking of her mother's exhortations and admonitions in front of her, Bai Wuxi smiled. She did not make a mistake in the end. Although she experienced some twists and turns, she finally chose love, a love with both bread and milk, not the kind of love that her mother complained about every day. Wang Yuchen saw Bai Wuxi's smiling eyes and felt a little envious. As long as she became Li Yuan's girlfriend, she could eat seafood feasts like this whenever she wanted, without having to think so much. If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Kan Ru Xiahua. Chapter 107. You can also buy cosmetics and clothes that you like. Instead of going to the mall and haggling for a long time for a price difference of tens of dollars. Bai Wuxi will no longer need these things in the future, just because her boyfriend is Li Yuan, a great writer who earns millions a month. Xiao Bai, I hope you and Li Yuan can live happily ever after, from school uniforms to wedding dresses. Hee, I can also benefit from your glory and enjoy a seafood feast after you leave. Bai Wuxi rolled her eyes at her. We are good sisters, why should we be so different from each other? Wang Yuchen took Bai Wuxi's arm and reminded him with a smile, Xiao Bai, you have to keep an eye on Li Yuan. He is famous now, and there must be many girls who are eyeing him. If you have a chance, be sure to check his mobile phone. Don't give other girls, especially pretty girls, a chance to get close to him. Bai Wuxi was speechless. Is that necessary? I am still very confident in myself. Wang Yuchen retorted, Xiao Bai, you are very beautiful. Even in our school, I have never seen anyone more beautiful than you. You and Li Yuan were childhood sweethearts, classmates in high school, and he chased you for 3 years. Normally in terms of development, no other girls can pose a threat to you. But, Xiao Bai, you have to understand that men chase women across the street, and women chase men across the street. As long as there are girls of a certain beauty who actively throw themselves into their arms, those boys will most likely be hungry and accept it silently. Men are all big pigs with no resistance to beauty. Don't they often say that if the red flag at home does not fall, the colorful flags are fluttering outside, they play tricks on the occasion, and they are in love. Men will become bad when they are rich, so you have to watch out. Please give me your monthly votes for the sake of the author who is still working hard on typing even though he is ill. Chapter 104. Bai Yueguang chases after him. Accept or reject. After hanging up the phone, Li Yuan was lamenting that it was really difficult to be a time management master. Suddenly, the QQ phone rang again. This time, it was a message from his real girlfriend Xia's Haijin. Li Yuan, I went to the library in the afternoon and read some computer books. This is Introduction to Computer Basics. Computer knowledge is a bit difficult, but I will try my best. Smile emoticon JPG. Li Yuan looked at the pictures taken by Xia's Haijin and suddenly had mixed feelings in his heart. Haijin baby is great, come on, don't stay up too late at night, go to bed early to take care of your beauty. I am responsible for making money to support the family, and you only need to be responsible for looking beautiful. As soon as Li Yuan sent it, Xia's Haijin replied quickly. I want to help you, but I don't want to see you working so hard. I saw that the books you wrote were updated at around 2 o'clock at night. I know I'm stupid and can't help you much. I just want to make it less difficult for you as much as possible. Little fool, I write books very quickly, don't worry, they are all updated regularly. Have you had dinner? Well, I went to the cafeteria for dinner with my roommates. They were very nice to me. I bought them a bag of apples and a bag of oranges from the school supermarket for 20 yuan. Be on good terms with your roommates. You can buy some fruits, milk tea, snacks, etc. to bring to them. Don't try to please them. If they say something about you, tell me, and don't keep it in your heart. I know, Ziu, Chen Chen, Xingxin, they are all very nice to me. They want to use my computer. Can I lend it to them? It doesn't matter, just save some company documents. Then, are you going back to school tonight? You may go back very late, so you don't have to wait for me. Suddenly, I miss you a little. Hey, I miss you too. Li Yuan smiled. In the past, his chat with Xia's Haijin was very simple and daily, sharing life experiences. This was the first time Xia's Haijin expressed her longing to him in a chat. Suddenly, Li Yuan was tapped on the shoulder, and Wang Shui chuckled. Brother Yuan, just chat. Why are you smiling so meanly? Are you chatting with the new girlfriend Su Ji mentioned? Li Yuan was startled, and quickly put the phone in his pocket, glared at Wang Shui, and said speechlessly, Xiao Shui, why did you make no sound when you came back? I was shocked. My footsteps were so loud. It was because you were chatting too seriously with your girlfriend and didn't notice me. Wang Shui curled his lips and teased teasingly, Brother Yuan, I think you have a guilty conscience. Li Yuan retorted, what do I have to feel guilty about? I have always acted openly and aboveboard in my life. The light is exhausted? Ha ha ha, do you dare to show Biwixi your cell phone chat history? Wang Shui snickered teasingly. He didn't believe it at all. When Li Yuan was with them, he drove at a speed of 180 kilometers. She looks simple on the outside, but very coquettish on the inside. No, the appearance is no longer innocent anymore. During the 3 years of high school, it was all a disguise. After the college entrance examination, his true nature was immediately exposed. Wang Shui sat next to Li Yuan and looked at him seriously. He had just seen the back photo of Li Yuan and Xia's Haijin holding hands in Su Ji's mobile phone in the afternoon. It has been determined that Li Yuan has a very beautiful girlfriend besides Biwixi. Li Yuan really has 2 things to do. 2 girlfriends are still in the same university. If he does this, is he really not afraid that the boat will capsize? Wang Shui looked at Li Yuan seriously and admonished. Brother Yuan, no, what on earth are you doing? Biwixi and Wang Yuchen are not easy to fool. Girls in love have an IQ of 160. You will be exposed sooner or later. Besides, you and Biwixi have liked each other for 3 years. I think you are a little sorry for Biwixi by doing this. Li Yuan frowned slightly. Even his good brother thought he was wrong. Was he a bit of a scumbag? There were some things he couldn't explain to Wang Shui and Su Ji. I can't say that Biwixi cheated on me in his previous life and treated me like a fish. I am giving him back what he has done. Wang Shui and Su Ji would definitely say he was crazy. After all, in their eyes, Biwixi in this life has not done anything to let him down, Li Yuan, so far. Even the reason for rejecting his confession was completely reasonable and there was no mistake. Li Yuan asked, Xiaoshui, which side do you stand on with Bai Wuxi? Wang Shui nodded as a matter of course, nonsense, Bai Wuxi is our classmate for 3 years in high school. Su Ji and I will definitely stand on her side. Brother Yuan, I'm going to tell you something from the bottom of my heart, although you may blame me. Since you have reconciled with Bai Wuxi and she has agreed to be your girlfriend, I hope you can go on. Don't lose both of you, and then you will cry. Of course, you are now successful and famous, earning millions a month, and you can't lack women around you. I'm just giving you some advice. After all, Bai Wuxi knows you well and is your high school classmate. It's better not to lose your childhood sweetheart. I'm just saying what I think. Brother Yuan, you have your own ideas. I hope that all the decisions you make will not make you regret in the future. After listening to Wang Shui's advice, Li Yuan just remained silent. It's not that he hadn't thought about that solution. If everything really exploded, Xiao's Haijin, Bai Wuxi, or Zhong Tingyu and Zhang Ziyu might all leave him. And if he chooses one of them now, with his current wealth and future status, he will most likely be able to walk to the final marriage hall. But can he make a choice? It seems that it is difficult to make. After a while, Wang Shui, Wang Yuchen, and Bai Wuxi all came back, and brought a table of seafood. King crab, Australian lobster, salmon, tuna, etc., filled the table. Wow, don't eat yet, I want to take a picture, keep a souvenir, and post it on QQ. Wang Yuchen took out his mobile phone with great excitement and took pictures of various delicacies. This scene reminded Li Yuan of the unspoken rule of eating in the circle of friends first when going out for dinner in the future. It turned out that it started in 2008. Wang Shui also took 2 photos and said with a smile, "Thank you Mr. Li for the treat. I will send it to my high school classmates group to make them envious." Su Ji laughed, Zhongding and Ajin must be heartbroken to death when they see such a sumptuous seafood feast you posted. Li Yuan smiled and said, "At this time, Zhongding may still be in the review class, so he should not see it." Su Ji smiled evilly, "Brother Yuan, you kill people and destroy their hearts. If Zhongding knew about it, he would definitely fight you to death." They were 5 good buddies in high school. The starting 5 of the 22nd class basketball team, only Zhang Zhongding repeated the year, and Yang Zhen went to Jinling to study at university. Bai Wuxi also secretly took out his mobile phone and took a half-length photo of Li Yuan smiling while they were not paying attention. After Wang Yuchen finished filming, she said with a smile, "Okay, I'm done filming, let's eat and try to help the rich man Li make his money back." Su Ji touched Li Yuan's arm, "Brother Yuan, Xiaoshui, do you want to drink? The drinks here are pretty good." Li Yuan looked at the food on the table and nodded, "Then let's drink some beer, I don't like drinking white wine." Wang Shui asked, "Brother Yuan, you are driving, how can you drink?" Li Yuan smiled, glanced at Bai Wuxi, and deliberately said, "It's okay, we will take a taxi back. It's too late, so let's stay here. There is a hotel upstairs, and we won't go back at night." He wanted to test Bai Wuxi's reaction, and whether there were any exciting programs when he said wait until the evening in the cinema. Unfortunately, Bai Wuxi didn't react at all, as if he didn't understand. Since Li Yuan said so, Wang Shui and Su Ji had no reason to insist. The two went to get beer, and Li Yuan looked at Bai Wuxi and Wang Yuchen. "Xiao Bai, Yuchen, do you two want to drink some too? If the confession fails, chase her bestie." Author, Ren Shenkui Kan Ru Xiahua. Chapter 108. Before Bai Wuxi answered, Wang Yuchen immediately looked at Li Yuan with vigilance. "Li Yuan, what do you want to do? Do you want to get us drunk so that you can do bad things?" Li Yuan's heart was revealed by this word, and he had nothing to say. This high school classmate looks more and more like a green tea. Hee, I told you, Xiaobai, neither of us will drink it, let the three stinky men drink it themselves. Wang Yuchen saw Li Yuan's embarrassment and looked very proud. Xiaobai, try the king crab here. If you buy it outside, it costs dozens of yuan. Bai Wuxi suddenly winked at Li Yuan playfully, with a happy smile on her face, showing an expression of helplessness. Li Yuan was suddenly stunned when he saw this scene. Many complicated memories came to his mind. They used to be like this in the 3 years of high school and the freshman and sophomore years. Bai Wuxi was once a sunny, cheerful, confident, and beautiful girl. Otherwise, she would not have attracted him for 7 or 8 years and left a deep impression in his memories of both lives. But it seems that after his rebirth, he has never seen Bai Wuxi smile like this again. Every time he meets her, he feels very unhappy. Li Yuan looked at Bai Wuxi, who seemed to have found the happy times in the past, and he seemed to have returned to the high school years without the memory of rebirth. Li Yuan felt mixed emotions, and he couldn't tell the feeling. There was a complex emotion that he couldn't release. Bai Wuxi saw that Li Yuan frowned and looked worried, and asked with concern, Li Yuan, are you worried? Li Yuan glanced at Bai Wuxi, she looked worried, and her sincere expression couldn't be faked. Shaking her head, she smiled and explained, it's about the company, nothing. Bai Wuxi was a little disappointed when she saw that Li Yuan was unwilling to tell her, and she spoke softly. Li Yuan, don't put so much pressure on yourself. In my heart, you are already very good. If you have any troubles, you can tell me if you want. I am still the listener you used to be. It would have been better if Bai Wuxi didn't say it. As soon as she said listener, Li Yuan couldn't help but recall the memories of high school in his mind. In the second semester of the second year of high school, there was an exam in which he did very poorly. His grades in the class dropped directly from the top 3 to outside the top 20. He was severely criticized by the head teacher Lao Wang in front of his classmates, and later he called his parents to tell them about the situation. This time was also the only time in his life that his parents, thousands of miles away, called him specifically to ask about his studies and scolded him on the phone. He felt bitter. It was also that time that Bai Wuxi was his listener. At that time, he and she were already desk mates. Bai Wuxi deliberately went home more than an hour later after school to listen to his story. It seemed that he had been deeply in love with Bai Wuxi since then. A few days later, he made his first confession, but was rejected by Bai Wuxi as expected. Thinking back to the past, Li Yuan suddenly felt a little uncomfortable and wanted to drink a lot of wine and eat a lot of meat. Wang Yuchen tasted the king crab heartlessly, muttering, Xiaobai, what worries can the rich Li have? He is successful in love, famous and wealthy, and he is financially free. His life must be comfortable. Bai Wuxi frowned, looking at Li Yuan's expression, she felt a little uncomfortable. She gritted her teeth and seemed to have made up her mind. Li Yuan, if you feel uncomfortable, I will drink with you. When Wang Yuchen heard that Bai Wuxi wanted to drink, she almost spit out a mouthful of juice. She stared at Bai Wuxi, looked at her pretty face, and asked in shock. Xiaobai, when will you drink? Bai Wuxi smiled and replied, I can't, today is the first time. Wang Yuchen was puzzled, then why do you want to drink? Bai Wuxi did not answer, but just glanced at Li Yuan, her eyes full of smiles. The meaning is self-evident. Li Yuan was also a little surprised when he heard that Bai Wuxi wanted to drink with him. He had never seen Bai Wuxi drink in his 2 lifetimes. At this time, Suji and Wang Shui came over with 2 bottles of pure raw wine. Suji opened the beer and said with a smile, seafood, beer, barbecue, this kind of life is so wonderful. Wang Shui replied, who said it wasn't? Today, thanks to Brother Yuan, I was able to have a seafood feast. If I had to eat it by myself, I would definitely not be willing to eat it. 688 per person, it's really expensive. Let's try to make up for the cost today. Suji poured a full cup for Li Yuan. Come on, brothers, two beauties, our high school classmates in Shanghai, let's toast together to celebrate. Bai Wuxi glanced at Li Yuan, handed the cup in front of her to Suji, and her pretty face blushed. Suji, pour me a cup too. Suji was stunned when he saw the glass of wine handed over by Bai Wuxi, and subconsciously asked, classmate Bai, do you want to drink with us too? Wang Yuchen teased, don't be so self-indulgent, Bai is going to drink with someone, not you too. Suji glanced at Li Yuan and asked for his opinion, but Li Yuan just nodded slightly. Suji understood immediately and poured a cup for Bai Wuxi. Seeing that Bai Wuxi had already drunk it, Suji thought of Li Yuan's previous instructions, his expression changed, and he looked at Wang Yuchen. Yuchen, the four of us have all drunk, do you want to drink some too? Wang Yuchen was about to refuse, but seeing four pairs of eyes staring at him expectantly, he also glared at Suji fiercely, and answered with a stiff face. Then I'll drink a cup. Suji was relieved and said immediately, okay, then 1 cup. After saying that, he immediately poured Wang Yuchen a cup, fearing that she would regret it. Li Yuan's mouth corners slightly raised, thinking that Suji seemed to have come to his senses today. Soft is not enough, so he is going to do something biased? You must say that this may really be a wonderful idea. As long as there is a first time, will the second and third time be far away? For any girl, the first time is the most precious and will never be forgotten. As for the later ones, the psychological defense line will be much lower. To deal with a girl like Wang Yuchen who has the potential to be a green tea, you must use some special means. Otherwise, with Suji's current level, he can really be led as a husky who comes when summoned and leaves when waved away. Li Yuan raised his glass, clinked it with Bai Wuxi, Wang Yuchen, Suji, and Wang Shui, and said with a smile, come on, let's drink, we won't go home until we are drunk. Suji glanced at Li Yuan, understood what he meant, gritted his teeth and said, we won't go home until we are drunk. After saying that, he drank it all in one gulp. It was Bai Wuxi's first time drinking, and he frowned after taking a sip, but seeing that Li Yuan and the other two had finished a large glass, he still took a sip. Ft, ft. Wang Yuchen had the same expression, beer is so unpalatable, why do you guys like to drink beer? Li Yuan added, because drinking can really relieve a bad mood. Wang Shui laughed, when you meet a bosom friend, 1,000 cups are not enough, and if you don't get drunk, you will get drunk. My country's wine culture has been passed down since the pre-Qin era. If you don't drink wine, you always feel uncomfortable. Suji also laughed, I didn't drink much before, but the feeling of being drunk after drinking is really comfortable. Wang Yuchen pouted, you three will definitely be alcoholics in the future. Bai Wuxi looked at Li Yuan with concern, and asked with a blushing face, Li Yuan, are you in a bad mood? Li Yuan shook his head. He wanted to say that it was because of your existence that his mood became bad. If it weren't for you, he could live a very chic life before and after his rebirth. That day, that scene, really crushed all his pride and self-esteem into dust. From then on, she never picked it up again. Bai Wuxi picked up the wine glass and looked at Li Yuan, her beautiful eyes flashing with affection, and she said seriously, I will drink with you, I hope you can be in a good mood every day. Li Yuan clinked the glasses, drank the full glass directly, and turned the glass over to signal her. Bai Wuxi pursed her lips, closed her eyes, and drank most of the beer in one gulp. Cough, cough, cough. Wang Yuchen saw Bai Wuxi choking, and quickly patted her back and took the beer away. Bai, you don't know how to drink, just drink less, you can still compete with boys in drinking. Bai Wuxi smiled at Wang Yuchen and picked up the glass again, I promised Li Yuan. Then, She frowned and drank the beer in the glass one sip at a time. After Bai Wuxi drank a glass of beer, his face became even redder. He imitated Li Yuan and turned over the glass, smiling and saying, "Li Yuan, look, I've finished drinking too." Su Ji looked at the scene and was extremely envious. In his opinion, Bai Wuxi really did everything for Li Yuan and was worthy of him. "Brother Yuan, Xiao's Hui, the three of us toast to the two beauties." With the deliberate guidance of Li Yuan and Su Ji, Bai Wuxi had already drunk more than a bottle of beer. Wang Yuchen also drank more than half a bottle of beer under the persuasion of several people, and his cheeks were red. Wang Yuchen muttered, "No more drinking, no more drinking, I won't be able to sing tonight." "Li Yuan, we're full, let's go sing." Li Yuan looked at the time, it was already past 8 in the evening. He and Su Ji, Wang Shui each drank only 5 bottles of beer, far from reaching the point of drunk, smiled and said, "Brothers, let's change places and continue." Wang Shui clapped his hands, holding the bottle, comparing it to a microphone. "Okay, I haven't been to KTV for a long time, the last time I sang was at the graduation party after the college entrance examination. My specialty fairy tale is a little rusty." Wang Yuchen excitedly he stood up, pulled Bai Wuxi, who was blushing and slightly drunk, and said happily, "Let's go sing." Wang Shui looked at Bai Wuxi and Wang Yuchen who were staggering behind him, and asked in confusion, "Brother Yuan, Daji, what's wrong with you two? Why are you always forcing Bai Wuxi and Wang Yuchen to drink? They drank a lot for the first time today." Before Li Yuan said anything, Su Ji patted him on the shoulder and answered meaningfully, "Xiao Shui, sometimes, the relationship between men and women needs a catalyst." Wang Shui asked thoughtfully, "What is a catalyst, beer?" You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Kan Ru Xiahua. Chapter 109. Su Ji showed an expression of "you experience it yourself." Wang Shui understood immediately and laughed and scolded, "Damn, you two grown men are really capable. But, is it really okay for you to do this?" Li Yuan followed up, "Xiao Shui, it's all consensual, what's the big deal? We didn't force her to drink. Besides, don't look down on girls. If you really compete in drinking, it's not certain who can drink more. Besides, at some point, hunters often appear in the form of prey. There is a KTV on the 8th floor of Longjia building. As a weekend evening show, the price is very expensive now." Li Yuan took a look. It was 198 yuan per hour, medium package, with a fruit plate and a small bottle of Tsingtao beer. Li Yuan directly ordered a 4-hour package and added 2 more bottles of beer. In the KTV box. "Xiaobai, Yuchen, you two order songs first, and the stage is left to you," Li Yuan said with a smile. He wanted to hear how Wang Yuchen and Bai Wuxi sang. He opened the beer casually and looked at Wang Shui and Su Ji. "We agreed to get drunk, so we must get drunk. Brothers, continue." Wang Shui screamed, "Wow, there are 2 beauties singing on the side, and we 3 boys are drinking here. This feeling is so sour and refreshing." Su Ji was also slightly drunk and shouted, "Brothers, let's drink to our heart's content today." The 3 of them drank beer, and Wang Yuchen's singing had already sounded. It was She's Persian Cat. The song was very suitable for the person, and it felt very wild. Li Yuan listened to Wang Yuchen singing and secretly evaluated that he could only say that he was an average KTV microphone master, far inferior to Xiao Yu who studied music performance, but of course he was pretty good among ordinary girls. Suddenly, Bai Wuxi picked up the microphone, looked at Li Yuan with beautiful eyes, and her cheeks looked rosy and colorful under the shaking lights. Bai Wuxi's voice sounded leisurely, which stunned Li Yuan, Suji, and Wang Yuchen. In the past, I may not understand what love is, nor what feelings are. Only when you have lost something can you have that unforgettable feeling and recognize your true heart. I want to sing this song and say sorry to you. As the rhythm of the song sounded, Bai Wuxi looked at Li Yuan affectionately and spoke slowly. His voice was very clear, but also a little melancholy and low. Looking at Tokyo Tower for the first time, watching the lights imitate the falling stars, you always say that there is still a lot of time, you can wait for me, I didn't understand it before. Missing is a breathing pain, it lives in every corner of my body, it hurts to hum the songs you love, it hurts to read your letters, and even silence hurts. Regret is a breathing pain, it flows back and forth in the blood, it hurts to regret not being caring, it hurts to hate to understand you, and it hurts the most to want to see you but not being able to see you, it would be great if I could do it again. Suji was even more envious. Looking at Li Yuan who was listening attentively, he whispered in his ear, "Brother Yuan, I really envy you." Li Yuan just listened quietly to Bai Wuxi's affectionate singing, with a somewhat silent expression. Bai Wuxi sang Fish Liang's breathing pain affectionately, then looked at Li Yuan who was sitting in the audience, and spoke softly, with a nervous and expectant tone. "In the past, I rejected your confession 3 times. This time, I want to confess to you. Li Yuan, are you willing to be my boyfriend?" Chapter 105 Don't waste bad girls, take Bai Yueguang home. Suji's eyes popped out, and he cursed, "Damn, brother Yuan, Bai Wuxi confessed to you directly." Wang Shui was also a little confused, this is the first time a girl has taken the initiative to confess to a boy. Did Bai Wuxi drink too much? Wang Yuchen also felt incredible and stared at Bai Wuxi. Seeing this girlfriend who was as proud as a peacock and regarded as a dream goddess by many boys, she actually confessed to Li Yuan directly. She was a little confused. Even if Li Yuan is very good in all aspects, very talented, and rich, it's not that bad. If you want to confess, the boy must take the initiative to confess. After Bai Wuxi confessed her love, she waited nervously for Li Yuan's answer. Although the two had already had a conversation in the cinema, she felt that it was not formal. Since she had rejected Li Yuan's 3 confessions in high school on the grounds of studying, she should take the initiative to confess to Li Yuan in college, which was neither a loss nor a debt. The KTV, which should have been noisy and lively, suddenly fell into a strange silence. Li Yuan, who was stared at by 4 pairs of eyes, was also a little surprised, and a little surprised. It was not the first time for him to be confessed by a girl, but it was the first time in his 2 lives to be confessed by a girl like Bai Wuxi. Seeing Li Yuan silent, Wang Yuchen was anxious. "Li Yuan, please agree, Xiao Bai is waiting for your answer." Wang Shui and Su Ji also stared at Li Yuan in confusion, not understanding what he was doing. Bai Wuxi took the initiative to confess, and he was not happy to accept it, and then he went with the flow and got together legitimately. Besides, isn't this what you, the scumbag Li, think? Li Yuan looked at Bai Wuxi with mixed feelings, stood up, walked in front of her, lowered his head, looked at Bai Wuxi's blushing cheeks, curved eyelashes, perky nose, delicate red lips, and eyes full of expectation. Directly, leaning over, deep. The 2 of them had sex openly in the KTV, which made Suji, Wang Shui, and Wang Yuchen stare wide-eyed. Wang Shui took out his mobile phone with a smirk on his face, took photos, and recorded a short video. "Hee, when you don't have enough to eat in the future, you can use this to go to Brother Yuan to make money." Suji's tone was full of envy. "Brother Yuan, you are awesome. Lovers will eventually get married, and single dogs will witness it with their own eyes." Wang Shui was not happy anymore and shouted, Hey, Daji, is it necessary to kill people and punish your heart? I will go back to school tomorrow to find a girlfriend." Wang Yuchen held her little hands, looked at Li Yuan and Bai Wuxi with blurred eyes, and said with envy, "It's so romantic, I want that too." Next to her, Su Ji's expression changed. He looked at Wang Yuchen holding his little hands. He was so drunk that he became emboldened. A rush of blood surged into his heart. He suddenly summoned up the courage to hug Wang Yuchen and kissed her lips. I imitated it in a decent manner, and then continued to warm it up. Wang Yuchen was suddenly attacked by Su Ji, and Wen's mind went blank. Maybe it was because of the drunkenness or other reasons. For a moment, he forgot to resist and was stunned by Su's high Wen. It wasn't until a moment later that Wang Yuchen regained consciousness, pushed Su Ji away, and slapped him lightly on the face. "Asshole, Su Ji, how could you do this?" Su Ji was also slapped awake by Wang Yuchen. Looking at the shy and angry Wang Yuchen, he explained hesitantly, "I just, like you so much, I want to." Wang Yuchen was robbed for the first time, and she became a little angry. "Su Ji, I think you have been planning this for a long time. I haven't agreed to your confession yet, why do you kiss me?" Su Ji took advantage. Although he was slapped, he felt much better. He immediately nodded and swore, "Yuchen, I will be good to you all my life, and I will confess my love to you now." Li Yuan and Bai Wuxi, who were enthusiastically embracing each other in the center of the stage, also stopped moving. Bai Wuxi's face turned red and her eyes became blurry. She couldn't understand why she suddenly became so bold. In front of several high school classmates and best friends, she dared to confess her love to Li Yuan directly and even kissed in public. "It must be because I drank too much." Bai Wuxi made excuses for herself in her heart, ignoring that she was very conscious now. Li Yuan breathed a sigh of relief, let go of Bai Wuxi, and said with a smile, "I just heard that Su Ji raped Xiao Xiao." Bai Wuxi looked at Li Yuan shyly, thinking of that time at the train station more than half a month ago. Li Yuan also suddenly raped her. Sure enough, men all have the same virtues. Li Yuan came to Su Ji and gave him a thumbs up secretly. "Man, good job. This is the true nature of a man. He acts like a licking dog and can't even touch a hair. There is nothing to lick. If you can lick a dog, you have to gnaw down to the bones and have some value. That would be somewhat meaningful. At the very least, it's not too much of a loss if you pay. When it comes to falling in love, no one can guarantee that they will get married. If you just act like a licking dog and don't dare to do anything else, don't pick up the ball, and don't hit home runs, then you are a pure clown." Su Ji finally bravely took the most important first step today. Wang Yuchen was still a little angry. She felt that she had suffered a big loss. She pointed at Li Yuan, Su Ji, and Wang Shui and cursed angrily. "Li Yuan, Su Ji, and Wang Shui, you three must have some evil intentions. You made Wei 11 and I drink so much beer on purpose. You are three bad guys." Li Yuan was speechless. "My target is not you. Whether you drink or not is none of my business. The one who really wants to harbor evil intentions towards you is Su Ji, not you." Su Ji looked embarrassed and licked his lips. It seemed to taste good and felt very nice. As for Wang Shui, his eyes widened and he felt like he was being hurt. He muttered to himself, "Mater, if I don't find a girlfriend, I will really be a clown from now on and I won't be able to hold my head high." Bai Wuxi sat next to Wang Yuchen with a blushing face, and comforted softly, "Yuchen, don't be angry, it's time for your song. Su Ji is quite good. You hit him and scolded him. Let him confess and apologize to you properly next time." Su Ji glanced at Bai Wuxi gratefully, quickly climbed up the pole, and took the initiative to grab Wang Yuchen's hand. Wang Yuchen struggled for a while, but did not break free, so he let Su Ji hold it. Su Ji felt happy again and hurriedly swore to the sky, "Yuchen, I swear to God, I will only treat you well in this life. I will prepare carefully and solemnly confess to you, and I will definitely satisfy you." Humph, if the confession ceremony you prepared does not satisfy me, I will never pay attention to you again. Wang Yuchen snorted softly, broke away from Suji's big hand, and pulled Bai Wuxi. Xiao Bai, let's go sing and let these three stinky and bad men drink hard. Well, let's go sing. Bai Wuxi smiled and nodded, and she understood somewhat in her heart that something was wrong with Li Yuan and Suji today. If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Kan Ru Xiahua. Chapter 110. Listening to the duet of Bai Wuxi and Wang Yuchen, Li Yuan punched Suji hard and said with a sly smile, Daji, you are quite good at it? You learned it so quickly. Suji smiled awkwardly, it's all because of your good teaching, brother Yuan. Li Yuan laughed and scolded, go away. You originally had the desire but not the courage. Today, you just got more courage because of the alcohol. Then he teased, one slap in the face, in exchange for a virgin, Daji, you are not at a disadvantage. Wang Shui was full of envy on the side, and said sourly, brother Yuan, Daji, you all succeeded, and I am the only single dog left. When school starts the day after tomorrow, I have to find one immediately no matter what I say, and I can't be left behind by you too far away. Suji smiled, Xiao Shui, you can ask brother Yuan for advice and leave more often. I think he is really good at it. His method of chasing girls is very powerful. Wang Shui said to him with a wink, that's not certain. Brother Yuan can walk on two legs. Nima, Li Yuan laughed and scolded, stop talking nonsense, drink some wine, sing some songs, and the relationship will be smooth, right? Wang Shui pouted, the huge roads we have walked are not as many as brother Yuan's routines. You are really good. In the laughter and drinking, time passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, it was already more than 10 o'clock in the evening. One classic song after another sounded leisurely in the KTV. Li Yuan was also drunk and went up to sing a few classic old songs. It must be said that from 2000 to 2010, it was really an era of fighting between gods in the Chinese music scene, and various classic songs emerged in an endless stream. I want to become the angel you love in the fairy tale, open my arms, and turn them into wings to protect you. I will love you until I die, and I will not be happy if I don't express it thoroughly. How deep is the love? Give me a cup of love water, and I will not cry for a night. I still remember you said that home is the only castle, and it will continue to run along the rice-scented river. Tell you that every night when I think of you, I cry so weakly, let the autumn wind take away my thoughts and my tears. I have prayed hard in front of the Buddha for thousands of years. Li Yuan and Bai Wuxi sat together, watching Suji and Wang Shui, who were a little drunk, holding microphones and singing loudly, and couldn't help but smile. He seemed to be a little drunk today. 3 small bottles of beer were drunk by 5 people, and only a few bottles were left. Even Bai Wuxi and Wang Yuchen drank a little. Looking at Bai Wuxi leaning against him, Li Yuan took Bai Wuxi's hand and put it in front of his chest. He suddenly had a lot of words in his mind and wanted to question her. Question why she treated him like that. Why did she change from a perfect white moonlight to a money-worshipping green tea bitch? Why can't she give herself a decent face? Let her dignity go to the ground. Why did she break her perfect image in her heart and affect her in both lives? In the end, Li Yuan still couldn't speak. He pinched Bai Wuxi's face, stared at her gradually blurred eyes seriously, and whispered softly. Xiao Bai Wuxi, if you dare to treat me like that again in the future, I will leave without hesitation, and never look back. After drinking 2 bottles of beer, Bai Wuxi was already drunk and her cheeks were flushed. She had sung many songs with Wang Yuchen and was a little tired. Amid the clamor of singing, she could only vaguely hear what Li Yuan was saying, but couldn't hear clearly, so she put her ear close to Li Yuan's mouth. Li Yuan, what did you say? Suji and Wang Shui sang too loudly. Li Yuan saw her drunken appearance, and suddenly there was no point in questioning her. He bit Bai Wuxi's ear directly and whispered in her ear, "Xiao Bai, now, the dormitory is closed." Bai Wuxi chuckled, and gave Li Yuan a drunken look, as if she saw through his wishful thinking. "I know, so, what do you want to do at night?" Before Li Yuan spoke, Bai Wuxi laughed again. "At night, Yu Chen and I will live in the same room." "You big perverts, I won't give you a chance." Li Yuan smiled and pulled her directly into his arms. Bai Wuxi lay in Li Yuan's arms, looking at him, covering his mouth with her hand, and said with a faint smile, "Stinky bad guy, haven't you kissed enough today?" Li Yuan put his mouth close to hers and said in a low voice, "Xiao Bai, my cat can do backflips, do you want to go with me to see it?" Bai Wuxi was stunned when she heard it, and even the drunkenness was much sober. She stared at Li Yuan in confusion and opened her teeth slightly. "Li Yuan, have you bought a house in Shanghai?" Li Yuan continued to speak in a seductive voice, "So, classmate Xiao Bai, do you want to go with me to see our cat?" Li Yuan deliberately bit the three words "our home" very hard. To this day, he still clearly remembers a dream that Bai Wuxi had told him when he was a sophomore. "I want to settle down in Shanghai and have a big house with a river view." As Li Yuan expected, Bai Wuxi spoke with a trembling body, as if to confirm further, "Our home." Li Yuan gave a positive answer, "Yes, a home that is still missing a hostess." Bai Wuxi looked at Li Yuan with her beautiful eyes, and suddenly laughed, "Bad guy, I think you are trying to find an excuse to trick me back home and do something bad." Li Yuan didn't feel embarrassed at all when his thoughts were revealed. These were his true thoughts and there was nothing to hide. "Xiao Bai, I just want to be alone with you, and I will never do other bad things. Besides, I really have a cat that does backflips. Don't you want to see it? We can sit together on the open-air balcony and enjoy the moonlight of the magic city and the colorful river view at night." Bai Wuxi was a little moved, but still a little hesitant. She was a little scared to go to Li Yuan's house alone. Li Yuan's performance was too obvious today. Her soft body could already feel the ship beneath her. Bai Wuxi said hesitantly, "Then, are we just the two of us? What should Yuchen do? I can't leave her alone." Li Yuan's eyes lit up, and Bai Wuxi was shaken. "We'll send her to the hotel and then to my house." Bai Wuxi still shook his head, "I'm still a little worried." Li Yuan suppressed the impatience in his heart and tried to answer in a gentle tone, "Xiao Bai, do you think Wang Yuchen needs you to worry? She drinks much better than you, drinks less than you, and she can still sing now." Wang Yuchen on the stage was singing René Liu's Later affectionately, awakening the My Ba attribute. However, her singing level is still far behind Bai Wuxi's. Most of the girls who are very beautiful can even sing well. God is so unfair and treats people too differently. If you want to treat someone well, you will add all the good qualities to her. Bai Wuxi looked at Li Yuan, nodded gently, and said again before Li Yuan was happy, "I can promise you, but you have to promise not to touch anything or do bad things." "Don't worry, am I that kind of person?" Li Yuan immediately agreed without saying a word. At this time, let alone agree to this, you must agree to the request no matter how excessive it is. Bai Wuxi still believed in Li Yuan's promise. She got up from Li Yuan's arms and whispered in his ear. After hearing this, Li Yuan hesitated a little and nodded. After Wang Yuchen finished singing later, Bai Wuxi picked up the microphone, looked at Li Yuan, and invited, "Li Yuan, I want to invite you to sing this last song with me." Li Yuan looked at the song "As Long as I Have You" on the big screen. He had listened to this song with Bai Wuxi before he was reborn. It was really nice and suitable for a couple to sing duet. It's just that this song is not very easy to sing, and he may not be able to grasp it, but he has to bite the bullet and stand up. Because, just now, the last condition Bai Wuxi mentioned was to sing this love song with her. Wang Yuchen covered her mouth and chuckled, "Hey, I have to record the love song chorus for you." Bai Wuxi seemed to have premeditated it, and handed his mobile phone to Wang Yuchen. "Yuchen, use my mobile phone to record." Wang Yuchen took the phone, looked at Li Yuan, and said with a smile, "Li Yuan, you have to sing well and bring out your best. The first blood, the grudges between the two lives are now cleared. Please subscribe, please vote monthly." Li Yuan and Bai Wuxi duet this classic old song on the stage. In the audience, Wang Yuchen, Suji, and Wang Shui all picked up their mobile phones to record a video as a souvenir. After singing the song, Bai Wuxi's gaze towards Li Yuan became different again, filled with happiness, love, and warmth. "Wow, Li Yuan, Xiao Bai, the feeling of you two singing together is really great. I took a photo of it for you." Wang Yuchen shook her phone. Bai Wuxi hurriedly took her cell phone and looked at the video recorded in it. She felt shy and drunk, making her cheeks dazzle. This is the first time she and Li Yuan have sung a duet in KTV, and she wants to keep it well as these are memories she can keep in the future. Now that she has chosen Li Yuan in her heart, she is also looking forward to walking together from school uniforms to wedding dresses, from black hair to silver threads, until the end of time, until the end of time. Li Yuan glanced at Bai Wuxi, feeling itchy. He looked at the time again and said with a smile, "It's getting late. It's already 11 o'clock in the evening. Let's go back." Wang Yuchen said with a smile, "Li Daihao, as Xiao Bai's mother-in-law, I ate very happily today and sang happily. I am very satisfied with you and agree to the marriage between you and Xiao Bai.